on YouTube. There we go. Hey, can you see the bear in the background?
Yeah.
That's my ode to Devin Hester, Kurt, since I don't have the Devin Hester picture up anymore. That's my Chicago Bear. Ba-dum-bum.
There you go.
All right. Okay. Oh, gosh. All right. Well, gosh, I was worried. Moss, I was worried you only put in 2 things. Now I see there's 8, so we're good. That'll be awesome. Okay, good. Ready, Kurt? You ready?
Yeah.
Jazzy, Allison. Oh, I have to think of a new bring-in now because we don't have because I'm not in Austin. Let me see. Okay, right. I'm not in Austin. Not in Austin. Okay. John, edit here. Hello. Welcome to Techlandia. How are you doing today? I am John Samuelson, right next to the Nike World Headquarters in Beaverton, Oregon. Over across town, we have the First Lady of EdTech, and that is
Allison Anderson, also known as Ted Rosisi.
Also known as Ted Rosisi. Over in the great dairy state of the first principal of EdTech, he is...
Hello, everyone. Happy to be back to Techlandia. It's me, Kurt Reese.
Very nice. And then we're going to go down, and this is a surprise to everybody that hasn't listened to Techlandia for a while because we haven't done a show, but we're going back to California. Go figure, Moss. That's where, like, all of our guests have been from lately, but I had such a great time at the Q conference. So we're going to SoCal, and we have Moss, Pike, everyone. Moss, go ahead and give us your bio.
Hi, I'm Moss Pike. I teach Latin at the Harvard Westlake School in Los Angeles, and I'm one of the apparently thousands and thousands of Los Angeles teachers who get to be on Techlandia, so thanks for having me.
That's right. If you know of any more Los Angeles teachers we can have on, just let us know.
But
Will
Moss,
do.
you're the only one that teaches Latin.
Fair enough.
Boss, you're the first Latin teacher we've had on the show, I think.
Really?
Besides, yeah, except
He doesn't look Latin. He looks like a dude who might be from Minnesota.
I took Latin in high school. I have to say, I had Miss Taylor for 1 year of Latin, and it was first period, so when we would do our vocabulary quizzes, I would come in early, in pencil, write all the definitions on there, cheat on my vocabulary tests, and then erase it real quick, and I got a B.
Nice.
So there we go. So my Latin track history is not good.
And that embiggened your vocabulary, I'm sure.
That's right. It made it so big and so good. And so, I mean, so well. So anyway, thanks for being on here, Moss. We appreciate it. This is the first show of the brand new school year. And this is my first show from the great state of Oregon. Because I live here now. I moved across country. It was so easy to move across country, according to Allison. It's just like a walk in the park with 4 kids. Just sold all our stuff, moved across country. It was like it was nothing. I blinked and it was over. So there you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kurt, how was your summer, Kurt?
Summer has been very, very good. Been very, very good to me.
Summer has been very, very good to you?
Very, very good.
All right.
Well,
All right.
yeah, it's been fantastic. So, vacation to Ireland and then Norway, and then I had 10 days in Kentucky for grad school. Gained about 1 pound a day. So I ate well and drank well, but I'm back at it, hitting the gym, eating healthy.
There you go. Hey, Kurt, that sounds awesome. Tell us about Kentucky. Notice how I skipped over Norway and Ireland.
Yeah. You know what
Allison,
John,
okay.
you don't really want to know? Moss,
Yeah.
what's the deal with David Terrio, really?
Yeah, I thought we'd get to that a little bit later.
Okay.
Okay, good. As long as we address it, because I think there needs to be an intervention somewhere along the line for David Terrio. Allison, how was your summer?
It's not over yet.
It's not over? You're still swinging?
Yeah. It's good.
Allison, are you out by the saltwater pool in your backyard?
No. I'm
You're
just
not?
sitting at my picnic table.
Oh, okay. Did you go swimming earlier
The
today?
problem about having a 7 o'clock Techlandia, this all of a sudden I remembered, is, oh yeah, my kids are still all awake and they like to talk to me no matter what, so I'm trying to hide.
Well, I think that's
Okay.
okay. Let's
So
have
we don't
them
have
on.
these moments.
I love when you have those moments. Actually, those are great.
Hmm.
Okay, so Moss, let's get right into it after our 7-minute introduction. So Moss, tell us first of all. Let's just lead off. Um, our good friend Sarah, Miss Geeky Teach, was organizing Ed Camp Vegas, and we know that you are a Vegas homeboy and went through the Las Vegas school system, and I taught there for 7 years. So tell us how Ed Camp Vegas went for you, and since you've been to a few Ed
Yeah.
camps.
So, as you mentioned, born and raised in Vegas, so I was geeked when I saw an ed camp was happening in Vegas because it just, I don't know how to put it. It seems bizarre that all this teaching stuff that we're doing is actually taking place where I grew up, where teaching things aren't supposed to happen.
Right.
So, at any rate, when I met Sarah at Q in Palm Springs, and she told me that Ed Camp Vegas was being planned, so I had to make it coincide with our annual visit home. She put a lot of hard work into it, and it showed. It was really successful. I think the school, first of all, was beautiful. When I was a kid back in Vegas, that was probably empty desert, but now it's a really nice technical academy. A lot of people showed up. There must have been something like 200 people who were there. And yeah, it was full all day long. From the moment we walked into the door to the second we left after the demo slam, it was packed. And a lot of teachers there talking and having really good conversation. So I think it was a home run. She nailed it.
That's awesome to hear. I know, and she was. I know she was freaking out about it a lot earlier on, and I would let her vent on the Voxer. I think that was just a Voxer vent right there, and she would just vent to me, and I'm sworn to the code that what happens on Voxer stays on Voxer. But yeah, I knew she would do a good job. She's a really good. She's only been teaching for 2 years, and she just seems to understand it. It's apparent when you talk to her. And I'm really proud of her. I think she did a good job. We love Sarah, don't we, Allison?
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
I'm trying to get to my sound effects. There we go. That was
you have no idea that she'd never done this before, too. It went off without a hitch.
She'd never even been to an ed camp before. Yeah. She just knew what she had heard from other people. So that's good. I know. I think what's funny, Moss, too, is I agree with you. Since I've been going to Las Vegas since 1993 and have lived there off and on little parts for it, it is amazing to see, like, you would go out there and be like, boy, why are they building out here? And then all of a sudden there's, like, casinos, malls, and you're like, I should have bought land out here and I'd be rich.
So it makes me feel old when I sit in an ed camp session and the teachers went around the room and introduced themselves. I didn't recognize a single school that they volunteered. None. Not a one. And back when I was a kid, when we moved into the house that my parents just moved out of, we couldn't even have pizza delivered. We were so far out of the city, whatever that meant for the time. And now, I sound like an old man telling stories. Because now that's Center City, and I recognize nothing. Not a thing.
Right. It's funny. It's funny. I haven't been going there. 1993. I've been going there, and I just can't believe how much it just grows and grows. And Sarah did a great job. So tell us a little bit. So Allison and I are interested in this, and maybe Kurt can get in on this one too for lacrosse. But we really want to do. Allison has already done a play date, but we're thinking about doing Playdate Portland. Yeah. So we'd love to hear about you organizing Playdate LA and your experience.
So this was a project of Nancy Minicozzi, who put it together last year. So how'd this work? We had a coffee queue about, a year and a half ago, and she told us about Playdate and kind of nudged us into helping her out. And I'd never had any sort of conference experience on the other side until this, so I was really happy to do it. So with a team of about, 5 or 6 people, we put it together. Found the site, organized the sessions, put resource guides together, made it all happen, and it went really well, so we decided to do it again and hopefully make it an annual thing. And the idea behind Playdate is pretty simple. It's like an ed camp, but not quite an ed camp in that it is tech-driven. Where ed camps are not tech conferences, Playdate is a tech conference. And during the sessions, the idea is to just play around with some tool and some idea using the people in the room to help you out. So there are resource guides that are made available online. So let's take Google Docs, for example. There's a resource guide for Google Docs that has tips and tricks and examples of best practices and all that stuff, and you just play with it. Meet some new people and take it from there. So once you know how to do one, know how they work, I don't think it's too complicated to put together.
So I guess the moral to the story, and you know what? The only experience I've had organizing a conference was I helped out with Ed Camp Austin in November, and I thought that went really well. And I guess the only way to just tell people to just do it. If you get a venue, you can do this, and you should start a playdate. And if you want to do a playdate and get all the documents, because they are trying to do like a collaborative document as they go.
Yep.
Wouldn't you just say it's Jenny Majera's, right? It's her.
Yeah,
it's
Jenny
her
Majera, Autumn Laidler, and a few others put this together, and it's out there. It's the epitome of a crowdsourced, free, open source conference kit that you can grab and put on. So anybody can do it. All you need is the space and a few donors to help you put things together.
Does it take a lot of vendor support? I mean, do you get them pushing different products for people to use?
Yeah, one of the rules of Playdate, just like EdCamp, is there are no vendors driving any of the sessions, and there are no presentations. So you can't have a vendor come and give a presentation on any tool, no matter how widely used it is in the education world. People are supposed to sit and play with it themselves, and when we solicit donations and swag, we tell them explicitly that we can't promote any of your. We will thank you on our public page, and that's as far as it goes.
Very cool.
And fortunately, tons of education companies and startups are more than willing to help out. So it's been relatively, I don't want to say easy, but they've helped us out a lot. And getting donations and money for food hasn't been the problem that we initially thought it would be when we first signed on to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that that's cool, and I think that we'll put the links, so I will, as always, try and make the listly of links that Moss shares from here, and so we'll put the link to Jenny and Autumn and Nancy. We'll put the link in there to their Twitter handles, and I'm pretty sure I even have, I'm sure Allison does too, I have the Playdate documents in my Google Drive. So we can even share them with you. I'm sure Jenny doesn't care about that stuff. I just actually was chatting with her a little bit today. So it's a cool thing, and I think it's, I mean, that's all you have to do is, that's how you learn stuff. I was talking about, all right, so then here's my one. Moss, have you done GetPoint yet? GetPoint.co. Have you seen that Chrome extension?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so if you go to GetPoint.co, and I'll put that one in the doc, I really think it's cool because it's similar to Voxer in that you can discuss articles that you find on the web and pictures, and Kurt and I share videos and things like that. But you can highlight text. And then when you open it, a little chat window opens up, and so it's just more like a live chat. So it's like a chat window Voxer kind of thing for articles you find, and you can share them freely with people. You like it, Kurt?
Yeah, I do. I would say it's more of a social Digo kind of thing. Where you can have like group highlighting. Yeah, but it's pretty cool. So rather than tweeting a link at someone, if you're reading an article or there's a particular passage, you can highlight it, and then just mention someone's point username, and they can see the comments, and you can have a running dialogue about something. I think it's great.
I like it. I think it's cool. I mean, can't beat the price. That's for sure. So you got like a free Chrome extension, and it's not, it just kind of sits there and it's a little @ sign, and you can see what's going on. So it's fun to do. Speaking of that, one of my point buddies. So let's go in to talk a little bit about design thinking and our buddy Carl Linkenstreicher Omelet that you'll be presenting with. So I'm still considering going to this one. So talk a little about Fall Q. And then what you're going to do with old Carl, because Carl Linkenstreicher, he's always up to something.
I think of Carl as the Kevin Bacon of education, since he's giving
exactly right.
He'll be giving a presentation in every single session at Fall Q, I think. So yeah, I'm geeked that he'll be there with me. And I'm not sure the details yet, but hopefully we're going to have a slightly longer session, maybe even 2 hours, and we'll run it hands-on workshop style where we'll introduce the concept of design thinking and then break people up into groups based on problems they want to look into and have them just go at it. And what design thinking is, basically, is people-centered problem solving with a bias toward action. And so what you really do is you go through a process that's a cyclical process. It just goes round and round and round, and starting with discovery. So you really try to figure out what problem you're looking at. What's the real problem underlying the surface? And you do that by talking to people and observing people. Once you have a clear idea of what the problem is, what the real problem is, you ideate. You just throw out solutions that you think could work based on the problem. And ideation is driven by divergent thinking. And once you have enough ideas on a board or wherever you're storing them, you start convergently thinking and try to prototype a solution. And then you ideally put the prototype into play, watch the users using your solution, and then start all over again. Ask how it's going and refine and reflect. And so that's going to be the goal of the session, is to have our attendees think of some wicked problem, some really hairy, sticky, thorny, difficult problem that's facing them, whether it's real or not, and then talk with people in the room, go through their ideation on how to solve it, build a prototype, and then share it out. And what we want to do, too, is have people continue to think about the problem throughout the duration of Fall Q and meet back up at a brew queue or on Twitter and just share their thinking on doing people-centered problem solving.
That sounds awesome.
I remember him talking about that he was trying to get them to agree to have like another session where you could meet back up, or the people, if they chose and if they wanted to meet back up, for like a half hour afterwards. But yeah, I think even a brew queue would work for that, or a coffee queue or whatever for the people that are teetotalers in the group. But that sounds really cool. Have you been in on their discussion to do the EdCamp D School? Have you been in on those discussions? I know Carl is. Are you in on that?
Well, Carl being Carl, of course he is.
Right, of course.
I haven't been in on the discussion, but I've been kind of in the loop.
Okay.
So it sounds awesome. I would love for that to happen wherever it happens and whenever it happens. Try to get up there for that.
Yeah, I would like to, too. Well, I think the problem should be, how do we get Carl to slow down, or that could be the problem you solve at your session, or just how do we get Carl to bathe more or use deodorant, because the guy kind of stinks. I don't know. Or
well, I have the ideal problem that I think we'll workshop. What's wrong with David Terrio? That's the ultimate wicked problem right there.
Oh my gosh, you could brainstorm on that for days.
Yeah, talk about moonshot thinking. How do we fix David Terrio?
Oh, I don't know. That poor guy.
But I'm glad to see so much design thinking going on in education, because it is. I mean, it's a human-centered approach to a human issue like education certainly is. This summer I read the book Creative Confidence from Tom and David Kelly. Very good book. Enjoyed it a lot. And when I finished, so this was during my travels, so I finished it, and then I'm sitting at the London airport. I had several hours, and I just went to the back of the book and just wrote out pages and pages of ideas and questions after reading through the whole book. And then this summer when I was in Lexington for grad school week, John Nash, who's one of the professors there, he has studied a lot about design thinking. He led a 2-hour workshop for us, where we worked with a partner. We did the wallet activity, where we kind of prototyped the ideal wallet for our partner, and it was fascinating. It was really great work.
Yeah, I love sessions like that, hands-on, active thinking sessions. That's another reason why EdCamp D School, having a day to do this, would be a phenomenal experience. Mm-hmm. And I'll second Creative Confidence. Fantastic book.
Okay, we'll put the link to that in the listly as well. Yeah. Hey, Allison, you'll be happy to know, this is a little side note for you. We've done, I don't know if any of you guys listen to this one, but we did Booklandia with our friend Colby Sharp. And so big shout out to Colby Sharp. But one thing only thing he said that was wrong with the show, and we'll probably tape another one here within the next week, was he did not want Amazon links anymore on the Listly? Because that's just where I normally would go to look for things. And he said, nope, he's anti-Amazon. And I said, I know someone else who's anti-Amazon, and that's Allison Anderson. And the more you guys tell me, the more I'm getting scared now about Amazon. I'm like, oh, I don't know. They're taking over the world.
What's Amazon done?
That make our lives better.
But
No,
I
mean,
am what. Go ahead.
I'm
Allison.
leery of it, but I use it constantly.
So anyway, we'll put the link, but I am now putting non-Amazon links into the Listleys, just so you know. That's an FYI. That's Colby
pals.
Sharp, Fight the Power.
Put links for pals.
No, women and women first.
I know, I've been watching a lot of Portlandia since I've moved up here, I have to confess. Okay, now Moss, let's go, this is an interesting one for me too, because on your number 3, because I've been looking at this one. So this sounds interesting, and I really enjoyed the Q conference when I went there. So tell us about joining the Q board and like how it's sectioned out, because I know a lot of those Q people, like I was watching, I think it was Digital Roberto was up in Portland for the big All-Star Soccer weekend, and I guess he's the president of Q, and I had no idea. So tell us a little bit about joining the Q board.
Well, as you guys know, Q is thought of as the ISTE of California, so it's an EdTech corporation that covers California and now Vegas too. So Vegas has a Q affiliate, and within the larger Q empire, there are smaller affiliates like the Q Los Angeles affiliate, Gold Coast for Ventura, Camarillo, San Gabriel Valley, San Diego, and so on and so forth. And there are boards that govern each affiliate. And the Q Los Angeles affiliate had a couple openings in the board that they announced earlier this calendar year. So I figured, I'd love to keep doing what I'm doing and expand it within the Los Angeles area. Because I like challenges, and was elected onto the board in March at Q, and so my term started officially in July, and now we're tasked with planning events for the Los Angeles area, both big and small. So small things like coffee, EDU meetings, and we have a tech fair coming up in November, and we'll just try to bring the Los Angeles community together like we did for Playdate and Ed Camps, and keep the ball rolling. So it's tough, as you guys know, because Los Angeles is so big. There's such a wide diversity of teachers and people all over the place. So we're going to build it up and make it fun, I hope.
So
that's cool.
Was the initiation ceremony, was it scary? Was it a lot of hazing, goat blood, anything like that?
Not yet.
You probably can't talk about that. That was
exactly. And it's not actually going to happen until the end of August, so...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What happens on the Q board initiation stays on the Q board initiation.
Exactly.
I heard that's like so do you have any ideas for what you want to do? There's like anything that's just like at the forefront of your mind where you're like, okay, if I get elected, I'm going to do this, and that's what you wanted to do.
Going back to talking about Playdate and Ed Camps, and echoing what Stephen Johnson said, like the best tool for getting people to innovate is just having them sit around a table and talk. And I've become a big fan of that. Sit and get meetings and formalize PD. It just doesn't work. So what I want to do is have.
What? It doesn't?
I know, right? I want to get people to come together, whether it's over coffee or craft beer or baseball, like you mentioned on previous Techlandia. Schnitzel queue. There's a queue for everything. Bring people together to sit and chat and get to know each other. And it really echoes what's big in design thinking, namely empathy. And so when you sit and talk with somebody and it's friendly, you're not sitting like this in a lecture type meeting, but you're having an open conversation with people. Your mind's going to be more open. You're going to be able to think more creatively, more innovatively, and build connections that will help you to do new and interesting things. And so that's really what I want to do first and foremost, is just bring people together to talk and widen their local PLN, whatever that means to people.
Yeah, that's great. I think you guys do a great job with the coffee queue and the brew queue and the baseball queue.
Yoga queue.
I just think it all just seems like a good idea. And we're gonna Allison and I will be at EdCamp PDX, right, Allison?
Whoop whoop.
this Saturday. Whoop whoop. And so we'll be there, and that'll be fun. But I feel like maybe we can bring some of that to Oregon a little bit too, because I've been talking with people, and we're going to start back up with Oregon Ed Chat, and we're going to try and do it a little bit differently than the norm. You know, not the same like every week and 6 questions kind of thing. Although I do have to say that when I don't participate in many chats, but I really do think I always find myself pepping into California Ed Chat. They're really fun. Kurt says they're the best. Kurt thinks they're the best. He's trying to get everybody. If you have Twitter if you know people that have not followed Kurt Rees on Twitter, he's making his push to 10,000 and would really like your support, or else he will keep participating in as many chats as it takes to get that many followers.
Yeah, it got to a point where I was pandering, and I was like, what would be something really quippy and retweetable that I could push out? And then I was like, oh man, stop doing that.
When you start making little clip art quotes of people, then that's when I know you've jumped the shark for sure.
Yeah, when I have my own watermark, I'll put in the corner. Quotes from Kurt.
Quotes from Kurt. That's good. All right, Moss. You know what I'd like you to? Can we switch to your 3 Twitter users, and then we'll double back and talk some more stuff?
All right. So my first Twitter user is our department chair here at the Harvard Westlake Middle School. The department chair of our World Languages Department, Melissa Strong, and her Twitter handle is De Libros Corazon. It's a little tough, but it's pretty straightforward. De Libros Corazon.
Which means I left my heart in San Francisco.
More or less, sure, yeah.
Thing with hearts and books, right?
Yeah, exactly. And she's a Twitter binger, I could say. She doesn't tweet very often. She doesn't participate in chats all that often, but when she does, she really goes at it. And the reason I think she's a great follow is because she embodies what real leadership is. And on Twitter, correct me if you guys think I'm wrong, but we tend to have a lot of teachers. There are a lot of tech coordinators in various roles, and there are a handful of administrators, but I don't see a lot of department chairs on Twitter talking about how you manage individual departments as opposed to tech organizations or school organizations in general. And I think that she's in the position to demonstrate how real leadership works much more effectively than a lot of other people, because she's a full-time teacher and she's basically a full-time administrator. She's doing 2 jobs at the same time. And she sees everybody she manages every single day. And she understands that it's about managing people. To go back to that design thinking idea again, it's about managing people and working on your social and emotional skills to get people to do the things that are best for everybody. And our department is successful because of her. Not because of higher level administration, not because of individual teachers, but because she's the one who's really pulled it together. She goes out there to find things that are relevant to our department. She shows people how to use them. She demonstrates them by doing it herself, and she can be called that quintessential teacher leader. And I think that role needs to be celebrated more, and we need to put more emphasis on department chairs as being the true drivers of change and innovation within education. So follow her, tweet at her, get her sharing more ideas she has, and we'll all grow from that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I always think of, when I think of good leader, I know a guy in Wisconsin that'll be out in his classrooms right away first day, won't you, Kurt Rees?
Oh, I think you're talking about Joseph Filippo. Yeah.
Oh, I was talking about Joseph Filippo too.
Yes. No, I'm excited. Today we had registration at school, which is families come back, they get their pictures taken, take care of a couple fees and some paperwork. So it was fun to see all the students come back through school. Yeah. I mean, certainly it's nice during the summer to have a quiet office, just me, my secretary, and our custodians taking care of things. But once we hit this point in the school year, it's fun to have a little noise and energy back in the building with kids and parents.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you can only prepare so long, and then it just has to happen and start.
Yep.
All right, Moss, so go ahead. We've talked a little bit about Sarah already, but go ahead and give us a little bit more about Sarah. We can never hear enough about little energetic Miss Geeky Teach.
So Sarah, Miss Geeky Teach on Twitter, she's another must follow, I think, because of what we talked about before, what she's done so quickly in Las Vegas and the teaching community within Las Vegas. And like I mentioned, when I was growing up there, I had a great childhood, but there was nothing like this. There was really no innovation happening within high schools. And going back to seeing and seeing now what it looks like is totally different. She's only been there for 2 years. She's organized a fantastically successful ed camp. She has planned for doing more things in there. She's building, or she's helping to build, the Q Las Vegas affiliate, and there will also be a Nevada Ed Chat that will happen starting, I think, next Tuesday, August 19th. And she's really making her mark on that city in what is something like one of the largest districts in the entire country. The Clark County School District is the 5th largest district in the whole country. So getting change to happen in a district that large is extremely difficult, and she's doing a fantastic job, and I think she should be recognized for that.
Definitely, definitely. I agree, and as teaching in Las Vegas for 7 years and then actually going and teaching another school district, it's hard there. There's a lot of times when I think there are right now 600 teachers short. I can't say that when I didn't stay with my friends, and we have a lot of friends in Las Vegas still, and I can't say that when I didn't stay with my friends that we hadn't yet rented the house in Portland, and I told my wife, I said, well, you can get a job here pretty easily and get your 5th year of Nevada certification, and she just won't have it. And then that's the funny thing, Moss, that when I met my wife, it was my 3rd school, and we opened the brand new school that's right off 15. It's in North Las Vegas. It's called Reynaldo Martinez, and that's how we met. And so I think our pictures are still up there on the wall, but then when I went back there and looked, they've just changed so much. There's like a dental office. They blocked off the road, and I'm just like, wow, they are really, they don't stop in Las Vegas. They're just going to... Okay, but I have a lot of love for Las Vegas in my heart. Yeah. Sarah's born and raised there. So.
Yeah, just like me.
Yep. So that's good. Well, I'm glad to see that Sarah's doing all those things.
Yeah.
Good
Likewise.
Yep. Okay, and I saw this hashtag, so now we have a hashtag to follow when Morris is talking about design thinking.
So instead of a 3rd Twitter follower, I thought I would share the hashtag DTK12 chat for design thinking K through 12 chat, and simply it's a fantastic community. There's so many awesome people in there, any of whom could have been candidates for a 3rd Twitter suggestion. They talk about design thinking at 6 o'clock Pacific time every Wednesday night, and what's really impressive about the community to me is that the Twitter chats technically were on hold for the summer. But if you go into the chat at 6 o'clock on a Wednesday night, people would be there just talking, throwing out random questions, having an on-the-spot discussion about something. And it's a very supportive community. The people, as I mentioned, are great. They're pushing innovation. They're always trying to let action drive their ideas. They don't do anything unless they're actually going to consider how to put it into practice. And it's one of the more inspiring and least echo chambery hashtags to follow. And I highly recommend that if you don't participate in a Twitter chat on Wednesday night, you at least follow and just see what's going on and watch all of the good ideas that come out of it every week.
Okay, that's a good one. That's good advice.
DTK12 chat.
Yep.
Hashtag.
Yeah. Another design thinking resource I want to share is from IDEO. So if you just Google design thinking for educators, and you'll find a design thinking toolkit that comes from IDEO, and it has a lot of great resources to help educators understand what design thinking is, but then also put some of the principles in place with the work that they do.
Yeah, and for Spanish language teachers, there's a Spanish version too.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Yeah, for all 3 of you who are interested in that.
Jake Duncan would be interested in that. Okay, so we'll look at that one. Now, I was going to say this one real quick. I've actually been looking at. I feel like when I was moving, I was pretty much off the radar completely. But as I got back and I got my Wi-Fi hooked up, I did notice that there is a really good site for chat. If you are a chat participant, I really suggest that you check out Nerf. and it's nurph.com, where you can actually replay, and this is one of the things we'll do for Oregon Ed Chat, where you can actually go in, it'll automatically hashtag, and I know there's tools like that, but if you miss the chat, you can actually go in, if the chat moderator goes in, and you can actually replay it at like 1, 2, and 4 times speed if you want to go through. So it actually gives an automatic replay, which I think is a little bit better. Sometimes I love Storify, don't get me wrong, but sometimes you miss things, and sometimes those take too long to make, and you have to pick and choose which comments you put in. So I think that Nerf is also N-U-R-P-H, not like the football, but like, I don't know, like Murphy, Dale Murphy. So anyway, that's a good one. Kurt, I hate to tell you this, Ding Dong is dead.
I saw that. I was sad.
First Twinkies, now this.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know. And then Twinkies and Ding Dongs have resurrected from Hostess.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Ding Dong, the app that we loved so much that one episode.
Yeah.
They're doing away with it. I got the email today.
Cool. No, I get a ding dong from Allison and Jake Duncan and John once in a while. It was really cool. I liked it. So yeah, those are things. That's one thing that sucks that we wanted to share.
Yeah, and you know what? In all fairness, I'll look, and next week I'll give you what they're working on a different app. But yeah, Ding Dong, no more. Ding Dong is dead. Poor Ding Dong.
Ding Dong, the wicked Ding Dong is dead.
Moss, what you do is you basically push the button, and then it would go, you have just ding-donged Kurt, and then it would show where I was at, like, when I ding-donged him, when I pressed it on there. It's like location chart. It was completely pointless, but...
It was kind of like Foursquare, like 10 years ago, or something.
Yeah, it was like 1998 Foursquare, or it's kind of like... Maybe it was ahead of its time, because it was like Yo. Maybe they just needed to attach it was like pre-Yo, basically. Kurt, you have something to say about Yo?
Yes, I do. Okay, so I really like Yo because it's simple. The only thing you can do is just send a Yo at somebody, but then there's a bunch of IFTTT recipes that go along with it. And then I see now that Yo, you're going to be able to send links and hashtags, and then it just isn't Yo anymore. Now it's turned into something else. It's going to be really spammy. So it was cool while it lasted, and I don't know. I think it's about to suck.
They're going to try and upgrade it too much.
Yeah, I know. Just keep it simple.
When I shared a link with Jake Duncan the other day, so we tried it out to see where it was, and we're like, well, where do we do it? And it's easy to send the link, but you have to go all the way back into your iPhone screen and then scroll down to the notifications and then, like, swipe, and then you can get the link. And I'm like, it's too complicated now. I just like, yo, Kurt Reese. I always think that's the best. Okay, Kurt and Mosh, you guys can talk about game storming a little bit, the book, because I see you both have it or are both currently reading it. So why don't you go ahead with that a little bit, because there's nothing we like better than a little gamification that we're just talking about.
So let me tie it to something that frequently sucks, and that would be opening year professional development and school meetings that get incredibly boring. The book Game Storming from Dave Gray, SUNY Brown, and James Macanufo, maybe. It just has a lot of activities that help build teams, but then pick up energy. So it could make some PDs and meetings less sucky. I'm not going to say it's going to cure everything, but that's how I've seen it used.
Yeah, I think that's spot on, and it's basically a bunch of activities and strategies for combining play with aspects in the design thinking process. So they don't really use the term design thinking too actively in the book. It's taking what you might think of as a game to put a bunch of people through it to figure out what problems they're dealing with, or to go through ideation generation or prototyping, anything like that. A lot of really cool tricks and ideas for getting people to talk to each other. It's basically what it's all about.
That's how we are with Allison. We have to trick her into talking. Allison, what do you say about that?
I'm listening. I want to read that now.
Yeah. They have some good online resources, too. I think gamestorming.com, it might be that simple. A lot of good stuff there.
Okay. We'll put that one in the listly as well. Allison, real quick, tell us about your... I'm sorry, I was snooping today. I saw that your PDX session. You want to talk a little bit about your EdCamp PDX discussion topic?
Did I put that in the EdCamp? document?
Yes, you did. Do you remember?
No.
I looked at yours and I thought it was great. I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Oh, is it about the superhero powers for students?
It's about
Yeah.
Kristen Swanson's book, right?
Yep. So
Okay.
you get those kind of books that like, here's stuff to do with your students, but it's Kristen Swanson, so you know it's going to be good. So it came out at the beginning of the summer, and it's just basically teaching kids collaboration and communication and all these different very, very kind of complex projects. It's not something you'd go in and work with for 45 minutes, but she just did a really great job. So hopefully at Ed Camp we can break it down a little bit, and they're nice projects where it's not like a recipe or something. You can really build on them. You can make it work for your students. You could kind of throw them out there as ideas and see what people would do beyond that. So I'm looking forward to talking more about it and using that kind of to structure my tech curriculum, since I'll be teaching K through 8 students technology once a week. Get to make up your own kind of.
Yeah.
It's always fun.
That's funny. And we know that Kristen Swanson is the mother of Ed
Wonder
Camp.
Woman. She's Wonder
Yeah.
Woman. Let's call her that.
She's awesome.
I think they just published a new book.
We're gonna digress. Yeah, what is the deal with Kristen Swanson and these books? What is she
this
doing?
one's Ed Camp
Published blogs?
Mindset or something like that. So
She's writing books, I think.
Gosh, she's writing so many books. Doesn't she know books are dead? She's got to do ebooks. So I do want to say we'll put the link for this one. I actually just purchased this book, and then I made fun of her after I purchased. But there is the Ed Camp book, and it's kind of an Ed Camp model. And I think it's $10 and $5.95 shipping. But all the proceeds go to the Ed Camp Foundation.
Awesome.
So that's all they had to tell me. And and then maybe the next time I see Kristen Swanson, I want you to sign it, and I want a nice inscription. I don't want just like Kristen Swanson. I want like to my biggest fan, John Samuelson, forever and ever. Hugs and kisses, all that stuff. That's what I want on my inscription. Just put XOXO thing.
All right, hey, since we're pimping books, I have to pimp one more then.
Okay, go ahead.
My good friend, Wisconsin elementary principal Matt Renwick on Twitter, he's Read by Example. He wrote a book called Digital Student Portfolios and did it with the PLP folks.
okay.
Was it Powerful Learning Press? I'm trying to remember who they are. But okay, so just go find Matt Renwick and Digital Student Portfolios. It's an ebook. He put a lot of time into it, and the foreword in the book is amazing. I mean, it's like think of it as like the To Kill a Mockingbird of tech book forewords. I wrote it along with Jessica Johnson. But no, the foreword's fine. It's like 4 pages. But Matt has put together a great book, so check him out. He's Read by Example.
I'm doing that this year, so I will get that. My middle schoolers are making digital.
Yeah, he did a great job with it. I don't know where he found the time to do it, but it's a super resource.
Awesome.
That's funny. I had like a reference to Kurt or something. There had to be something, but he wrote. We're waiting for the Kurt Reeves book, really. That's what I'm waiting for. That's something I will purchase a regular copy of.
Yeah, I'm still living my life. I don't want to slow down yet. So
I'm going to go to Crocs and Brentano's and buy that book, or Crown Books and buy that.
I think those were only in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Only I know what you're talking about.
Sorry, inside Chicago joke there. All right, so Austin, two other things I want to get to real quick is, but as long as we're talking books, we can break this one down because we did see this person speak at IPDX 2 years ago. So why don't you? And I've seen so many great people doing the sketch notes lately. I've seen Joanne Fox. I've seen Tracy Clark. So tell us a little bit about the advanced sketch notebook that's going to come out then for visual thinking.
Yeah, so this is Mike Rohde. I think that's how his name is pronounced. But he's one of a bunch of people who are pushing visual thinking. When we talked about brainstorming, Kurt mentioned Sunny Brown. She's written another book on visual thinking called I have it somewhere. The Doodle Revolution. A great TED Talk too, that really short and highlights the value of visual thinking. And then Dan Rome has a bunch of great stuff that's worth reading too. But basically, what visual thinking is drawing rather than taking text-based notes. And there are all kinds of scientific studies that show how drawing can be more effective in long-term memory and idea generation than simply writing something down verbatim, copying down PowerPoint slides or something like that. So there are a lot of great books that show you how to start with visual thinking. You can do a quick search for the hashtag sketchnote on Twitter and see what people are doing. Mike Rohde encourages everyone who takes sketch notes to share them out and make them available for other people. And I think it fits in extremely well within the design thinking process too. So when ideating, when prototyping, draw rather than write notes down. Make those connections. Don't worry about being messy. Don't worry about how artistic you are. Just draw. And so, to answer your question now, he's written a book called Sketch Notes, which is an introduction to the sketchnoting idea. But he has an advanced sketchnoting workbook that comes out early September, I think. Actually, it might be late August. And a lot of people, including me, are really excited about it because it's going to have more detailed instruction, I believe, on how you go about drawing different types of notes. And it's going to be accompanied by a DVD, I think.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Was it John Nelson? Was Mike Rohde? Was this the same guy who was at the IPDX a year ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. First, yeah, that was him.
Mm-hmm. Oh, why didn't I go? That looks really cool.
I don't know. Well, I know why you didn't.
Something. Why?
I remember exactly. Mike Rohde is his studio is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and so you are against anyone from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Everyone knows that you're completely biased against Milwaukee, Wisconsin for some reason.
No, I'm just highly in favor of the west coast of Wisconsin, not the east coast. It's, yeah, you wouldn't understand.
He was there, and as long as we're talking about that, he was at IPDX, and he was a speaker there, and I think they were. I saw people going to the session. I didn't go to that session either because I'm the world's worst artist. That's
I think it was probably the same time G. Bundy was talking, or something.
Okay, don't even get me started on that one. So, but that's a total inside joke. But we do have Integrate Ed San Francisco is coming up. So if you're in the NorCal, as I like to call it, but NoCal, October 3rd and 4th, Kurt Rees, I know, will be speaking there on the topics of
classroom and school, or how about learning space design, which would be a much better one. But then also the importance of school culture will be my other topic.
We're so proud of Kurt. He's all grown up now.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's why you need to get
I have to go. Yeah, I have to go now.
Well, your running mate Carl Lindgren Stryker Omelet will be there too, and I'm hoping Ms. Victoria Olson will be there. I was trying to talk Bill Selleck into going. I know Lisa Highfill will be there. I know Diane Main will be there. So we're trying to. It's a good little mix of people. Last year, Kristen Swanson was there. That's where I first met her. Good stuff. So the last thing, Moss, I wanted to end with was I kept saying, and I haven't looked at your examples, but talk about the card decks, and we'll put the examples into Listly, but the card decks for your school community.
So, in the game storming book, there are a number of games that you can play. They're like brainstorming this, or the things that Kurt mentioned about getting the group to do something actively. And now that I've been getting into design thinking, I've been exploring some of the card decks that live out there that are different from books. They're a different kind of resource in that they encourage play and they encourage generation of ideas as opposed to reading a book where you'll find the ideas more or less set in stone. And I have a couple here. I don't know if those are visible, but this is the 75 Ideas card deck that has a lot of great activities that are a lot like the ones you'd find in game storming. So they have an idea, and then on the back there are some instructions for how you play the idea. And it's really cool. A lot of different card decks out there. So I'll share the resource deckaholic.com that is trying to catalog all of the various card decks out there that are used in idea generation and discovery and prototyping and all those things. And what I got to thinking about is, as we're going through innovative ideas at our school, and we're generating resources like digital guides for faculty and the wider community to use, why not turn those into card decks? Especially when some of the ideas we're looking at involve review-type processes. So we have a process at our school that we call review, where each department, every 6 years, is supposed to go through the review process where we take a close look at ourselves and try to get better. And instead of having a manual for that process, what if we had a card deck? Or what if we had a card deck that outlined our new school mission, our school values, a card deck that includes some of the standing committees at our school and what their own missions are, and all of the other things that make our school what it is. And we can stick this card deck on a big binder ring and let people actively do things with it and generate ideas rather than look at the ideas that are printed and unchangeable in a book. I think it could be a great school exercise to put something like this together and to really involve the students too, and let the students drive a lot of the card creation for the honor code and what the mission means to them and all sorts of things. I think the possibilities are really endless with an idea like this. So we'll see what we can do with it.
It's a lot more playful and engaging to share information that way versus 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and size 12 Times New Roman font.
Yeah, and you stick it on a shelf or in a folder on your computer and you never look at it.
Right.
Nope.
Right.
Spend so much time making it. And then
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
You can swap out single cards in a deck really easily as things change.
It reminds me of this time when we were at IPDX and we played this game called Cards Against Humanity. Oh man, that was really interesting. I think
There's a lot of ideas generated.
there was a lot of ideas generated.
Yeah.
Not
There you
many
go.
of them safe for work, but they were ideas generated, and we got a little glimpse behind what was going on inside, and it was
That's
very
called
interesting.
empathy building right there.
Or disgust. It's like you are a sick human.
Kurt Reese. I mean, no, I wasn't.
Oh my gosh, that was so funny. Okay, and so all right, so we'll put those up. So that looks really. I'm going to check into that. I have not seen that before, but that looks really cool. And even just you putting it up there.
Some great PD sessions. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, by the way, at the Fall Q conference in our design thinking session, we're going to use a couple decks to get people doing things based on what they're interested in. So it should be fun.
Okay. You're really getting me to want to go to that now. I'm gonna, now that I'm so close to San Francisco, I'm gonna have to start bumping down.
Yeah.
I've lived here for 17 years. I didn't know how close we were.
It's an hour and 10-minute flight.
Just jump and go down there for the weekend once a month.
Oh yeah, I just jumped out. The best one is, I don't know if anybody has ever flown this before, but I highly recommend Virgin Airways Airlines.
Yeah.
The techno nerd in you can plug in below the seat. It's Wi-Fi. It's got touch in front of you where it's got crazy stuff on the Virgin Airlines, and I think it was their 7-year anniversary when I flew back last Friday, and I thought, gosh, I'm going to keep flying this airline as much as I can. I like any airline that has Wi-Fi. There's just something about going, hey, Kurt Rees, look at this link. I'm 32,000 feet up in the air, and I like doing that. So that's cool. Kurt, I know that you put in that one site that you said it was amazing.
Okay.
So let's share that.
All right. So this is something that I would say rocks. And it's been out for a couple of years, so other people have probably seen it and forgotten about it already. But it's just nbflat.net. So if you just hashtag nbflat.net, and it's there's like 20 different videos that were all recorded for this particular project, all recorded in the tune of B flat, my musical terminology isn't real great. But in the key of B flat. Thanks, Moss. But you can play all of these. You don't have to play them at once. You can stagger them, and it just makes some beautiful, beautiful music and sounds. And then on this particular website, if you go to the first column down in the third row, there's a poem that's read by a guy named Dan Donahue, and he's Australian. And if it's a gorgeous piece of poetry called Information. And then I interacted with him on Twitter the other night. He's written several other things that are just some of it is about technology, but also about the importance of human connection. But in bflat.net, it's just a very cool project, seemingly pretty simple. I can't imagine that the recordings that they did were real complicated, but it's incredible.
That sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
Well, I think we found a lot of cool stuff, and I know we've been busy over the summer. I mean, we can go a little bit longer here real quick because we're the Techlandia that goes hours and hours. But I wanted to say, Kurt, did you have anybody that you wanted to gush over really quickly that you met face-to-face over the summer?
Yes. Yes, indeed. One of my fake imaginary internet girlfriends got to meet face-to-face, and that would be Amber Tiemann. When I was in Lexington for a week for grad school, she was going to present at the Greater Clark County Conference in Jeffersonville, Indiana, I think is where that is. So that was just a short drive away. So drove over, picked up Amber from the airport. While we were there, ran into Kyle Pace and Brett Clark. But then Amber.
Oh, name dropping.
Yes. And I was in the same hotel as Bill Ferreter too, but he was busy with something else. And,
man, ka-ching.
So yeah, it was pretty cool. So I interacted with Amber a lot on Twitter and then through Voxer, but it was fun just to sit down and have lunch together and chat and laugh about the world, especially laughing about John.
Let me ask you this, Kurt. All right, so you said you went out to lunch.
Yes.
Is that what you meant? Okay, so I have $20 that says you bought lunch for her. Did you buy lunch for her?
No, she is fast. She bought me lunch.
Oh, okay.
No, I totally would have, but no, I just stepped out to take a phone call, and then bam, came back and lunch was paid for. So,
wow, holy cow. That must be the new Amber. Last time I tried to meet her, I said, oh, it's my last conference in Austin, and she said, okay, I'll meet you there, and then the next thing I knew, she left, like she had to suddenly leave and never came back and just had like all sorts of problems. I'm like, what am I, chopped liver all of a sudden here? What am I, Matt B. Gomez? So anyway, but she buys I'm sure she buys Matt B. Gomez lunch all the time. All right, I know where I stand now, Amber. You're never being mentioned on the show ever again. Hope you enjoyed it, Amber. I'm not boxing you anymore. Okay, that's good. Good for Amber for buying you dinner. Allison, who bought you lunch this summer? Anyone? Tim Lauer?
Did Tim Lauer? No, Thor Pritchard.
Oh, that's right.
God of Thunder.
Yeah.
You took the train.
When we used a card deck to do some brainstorming.
Did you use a card deck?
Yes, we did. Thor's pretty innovative, and he is the god of thunder.
Yes, and so people who don't know Thor Pritchard, really what it was, so it was Allison, Tim Lauer, and another person, I forget who.
Action hero.
Yeah, don't forget Melissa Lim.
You talk about a comfortable environment for ideation. They got on the train, saw some beautiful scenery, and just talked about a variety of important things in the world. And I hope you wrote them all down, Allison.
Yep. Well, I don't have to. It's all up here.
It's like a file cabinet up there. It's like a file cabinet.
Once it goes in, it never comes out.
That might be a good one, Moss. Maybe you should.
Yeah, sketch notes.
Yeah, you should do for a Q. Maybe you should go on a train to San Diego or something.
Yeah.
It was just as an alternative to going and sitting in an office or on a conference table. Took the train up to Seattle, had the best Philly cheesesteak sandwich.
Huh.
It was incredible. And then came back and talked some more, and back in Portland by the end of the workday.
That's so cool.
That's crazy. That's cool.
We're not the only big train. There's been other people.
We need to have a train queue down here.
That's right.
Cool.
Take the train down to San Diego and back in a day.
That would be fun.
Thor's thinking about trying to make it bigger and have like a whole car, and we were thinking about going somewhere, but I'll have to wait till I find it in my file cabinet to remember.
There's an Amtrak that goes from Seattle right through La Crosse on its way to Milwaukee.
There you go. In 4
Is that
days,
really?
we'll be there. That'd be a lot of brainstorming.
Yeah.
A lot of brainstorming, yeah.
We'd
I
have to
don't
just
know.
go straight to the Schlitz Brewery when we got
I think
to
as long
Milwaukee.
as you stocked up on craft beer in Seattle and then worked your way back to Milwaukee, I think that you could handle that. That'd be pretty good. Then just stock back up in Milwaukee, work your way back over. That's not bad. All right, well, nobody bought me lunch or dinner or a drink, especially not Amber Teeman. And I think some people threw rocks at me as I was passing through the town. So that was my summer, but I'm happy to be here in Portland.
You guys missed the big parade too in Austin after you guys moved. Of course, it was because you moved, but
I heard All-Star Game is now in Austin since there's no sporting events whatsoever. But now, like, they agreed to have the NBA All-Star Game in Austin pretty soon, so that'll be great. But yeah, I'm happy to be here in Portland, and I have seen Ted Rosisi one time. You know, Cece Ted Rosisi yet? She's too busy.
And now I have to go pick up Rose.
Okay, well that's good. Moss, thank you so much for being on. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah, thank you.
And I hope you make it up to ISF. And if not, I hope I make it down to Fall Q then. I wouldn't mind sharing some brie with Carl Lindgren omelet, because that's what he does. He goes to Napa, wine and brie all the time for him. That's what I've heard.
What else are you gonna do when you go to Napa? You gonna have Velveeta?
Cheese whiz.
No, cheese whiz. Right.
Well, Moss, thank you for being on here. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
See you.
You too. Thanks to all of you.
Yeah, thanks, Moss.
I hope we can all do this again in person.
Yes.
Yes, we definitely need
Sometime
to,
this
because
year.
it'll be fun. I know.
Yeah.
Scott Bedley was talking to me about you, and he said, whenever I'm with Moss, he's just so smart. He's like, when he's on Techlandia, keep him grounded, because he'll go way over your head. And I said, Scott Bedley, everyone's over my head. Come on now, really.
He's a good
All
guy.
right. Yes, he is a good guy.
Really
all right.
good guy.
Well, thanks everybody for coming back. Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time is our new time if you'd like to watch us live. And if not, hopefully we'll get these bad boys up on Thursday and I can work. So see you next time, and we'll catch you on the flip side as my wife is walking in right now. Right